Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of MTG Study Hall. I am one of your hosts, Brett. That was a sentence. We've got it for sure. And I am joined, as always, by my excellent co-hosts,
JC
and
Dave.
And before we launch into these topics we've got for you today, which are pretty sweet, we have a little bit of bookkeeping to do. Dave.
Yeah, just a reminder, as always, you can support the show by checking us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Patreon at whatever that site is /TCG University. You know, all that stuff. Most of you, I think, are on the Patreon. We need more subscribes. Smash those buttons. Patreon monthly exclusive for January is still the Class of 2020 shirt, which I believe, is it? I believe it's this shirt. This shirt exactly.
It is the shirt.
Fantastic. You can get the stylish shirt if you'd like to by becoming Patreon this January. And I think there are probably other things involved with it.
Yeah, new stuff next month, and yeah.
And of course, access to content before it is available on the YouTubes, and I believe exclusive content. More content to come. Just content the whole way down.
Yep, and pre and post show for the $1 level.
Yep. Mm-hmm. That's just quarter a week, and you can listen to us rambling and playing 20 questions,
which was actually super duper fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I there's a reason we played that on road trips. And we are now available on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify. So go out, check us out, get us those 5 stars, get a subscription in there, tell people in the reviews how awesome everything is and how great we are and how much you love us.
Hit those like buttons, hit those subscribe buttons on YouTube, and iTunes ratings help podcasts like stupid amounts.
Oh yeah. Get us on that page and have people say, hey, you listen to this, you should totally listen to these guys, and just help us grow by sharing with your friends. And if we make you laugh or think, give us a share, and it helps a bunch.
Yeah. And we'd like to thank our Patreon junior sponsors. They are Clay Cardwell, Jay Rogers, Jarrett Hubbard, Jerome Weeks Jr., Justin Farce, Kat Maria, Kevin Broberg, Lucinda Letica, Samantha Stevens, Teodora Ruiz, Tyler Zane Pease. I always like seeing new names on that list. Really appreciate it. If you want to become part of that, $5. We will read your name off with all the love that we can give. So thank you again.
And you don't need to use your real name either, so you can make it weird or funny, and then we have to say it. Yeah, probably within reason.
Within
reason. It's the internet, so I have to say within reason.
Yeah.
So
true.
Before we launch into it, we're going to briefly talk about what we did in and outside of Magic, and JC went first last time, and so Dave, you're up.
Oh, I played in the pre-release. I played. You were there at that pre-release.
Yeah, I was there. I saw it happen.
We had fun with that pre-release. Been playing. God, just been playing a bunch of stuff. Been messing around with computers. The first subject, which we'll get into later, is messing around to see what I can and cannot do using, computer and a smartphone. And it turns out you can do all sorts of cool shit with that. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. But that's outside of Magic. That's what I've been doing. Inside of Magic, the pre-release, been playing some Mono Black in Standard and just enjoying Theros all around. So it's good to have Grey Merchant back in Standard because that card is sweet. And the artwork's pretty dope. I do like the new artwork.
Oh, new artwork.
I went over that already. I still really like the new artwork.
And it's got the if you get in the promo pack, it's got like the darkened border.
Oh,
too.
hell yeah. Yeah, no, that makes me that means I'm probably, and by probably I mean I'm going to be playing in a lot of FNMs to try and get my full 4 because I love that card template. I've got 3 out of 4 for Dovin's Veto, so I need 1 more for Dovin's Veto.
I might have one actually.
Sick.
Let me check.
I want one.
Yeah, I might have that.
And I don't know which one's the more swag opt. If you want to have the invasion block, it's the invasion block.
That's the most swag
the
opt.
other one, yeah. No,
the invasion block, yeah.
It's sweet. It doesn't even say scry. It's just Hannah looking at something just looking angry at a piece of paper. It's amazing.
Yeah. Okay, and JC, in and outside of Magic.
Inside of Magic, I'm trying real hard to stop myself from buying the collector's box. Because the art in there is like the constellation art blows me away.
Is there a collector's?
I really like it.
Is there? Have they announced it? I haven't even been paying attention.
Yeah, there's a collector's box.
Is it like $400?
No, it's under $200.
Oh, is it? Oh, just like a box of collector's
just
boosters.
A box of collector's boosters.
Okay. Because last time they did the collector's thing in addition to that, where it was like $450.
They got a box of collector's boosters. I think it's like $150, something like that.
They're like $2 something.
That's
like
$230.
$230.
If someone's selling that for $150, like
no, it's
got that in the bank account. We can make that.
It might be $2 something. You know how the internet
it's 10
is
packs.
with the pricing.
Yeah. It's 10 packs at minimum $25, I think. So I think it's $250.
Either way, I'm trying real hard not to buy it because
you can buy just a few I'm buying 3 collector's packs.
I could. Other than that, I did record a top 5 art video. That should be hitting next week.
Yeah, I think
sometime?
soon. 'Cause-
That'll be fun, and those were the cards before the release. So yeah, should be fun there. And other than that, just looking at the new set and stuff with Inside of Magic, Outside of Magic, going to be moving. So got approved to live in a house instead of an apartment.
Congratulations.
Owning or renting?
Renting. Yeah,
You're getting there. It's fine.
Yeah, but that's fun. Signed up for a blacksmithing class.
Oh, awesome.
In
right.
March. So, fun stuff there. And other than that, just working. The roads have been awful. The temperatures have been awful. So I've been dealing with winter.
I will argue with you on the temperature part. It has been...
It was like 0 for like 3 days.
It was bullshit degrees turning into the snowstorm, and by the time the snowstorm hit, it was like 34, and that felt downright tropic.
Today
Like,
was 34, and it's like, this is fine.
Yeah, it's like I was...
But there were...
This is
I'm
almost
saying
shorts weather. Like,
I'm
what?
saying it was either 0 degrees or it was slushing outside.
Yeah, it's been crap.
Yes.
Nebraska's a terrible state.
Most of them are.
And,
Most of them.
Other than that, I've been getting lots of emails from politicians to donate to their campaigns, and I've been trying not to be so political. For those watching in the deep future, there is an impeachment going on right now. So.
Oh yeah, you can do that with air quotes. Like the Republicans are voting.
Yeah,
the Republicans are voting
impeachment.
party lines so that they don't actually have to have a trial, and then go, well, you guys didn't have any witnesses or evidence, so I guess you didn't do anything wrong, despite the fact that Rudy Giuliani on national television confessed to what happened. So it's not even a question of did this guy commit a crime. He fucking did. It's whether or not people give a shit, and as it turns out, they don't. It's amazing.
Dave, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to cut you off. This is a Magic the Gathering podcast, and you can only yell about wizards.
It's just chill his shirt off.
Pre and post show, if you want to listen to Dave's political
But-
post show, tune in.
Quick aside, I gotta say, Stephen Colbert's Bernie Sanders impression, fucking like the at least because I was just like listening to his monologue, spot on, just amazing. It was great.
They got the full art of the 3-headed dog in there, and they got anyway.
The Cerberus?
Yeah, the Cerberus.
Back on. I
Let's get us right
Jason
back on
wants-
track.
I want that collectors. I
Just
just
buy-
want to buy all the boosters.
Just buy
for
some of the
it.
collector's boosters. They
That's
go on
fair.
sale tomorrow.
Yep.
Just go down to Krypton.
I'm going
On
to do
sale
that.
tomorrow at your local
Yeah.
LGS
And
local,
big box.
local game store.
I'm going to.
LGS.
Yeah. As a
can we
follow-up
just
to
call
that,
it a local LGS?
I'm going to try not to spend all of my money at the local card store.
And you've got to also buy a box.
Yeah, because
Buy-
I gotta
buy
buy
a
a
box.
box, and then I gotta get
'Cause
some
have
collectors.
we already pimped that? We haven't done the promo just yet.
We
have
haven't. We haven't.
No, we're gonna
How about we
record the promo after this, but
Cool.
we're gonna be doing for those watch just the podcast. That's fine. We want to tell them we're doing a deck in a box. Tam's name tournament. I don't know if I'm saying it's Tam names
Tam's
because
name.
it's so great or because I want to distance myself from it. But either way, it's called Deck in a Box. And what we're doing is we are the three of us and then my spouse Ray. We are each getting a full box of Theros Beyond Death. We are building a super sealed deck out of it, a 40-card deck out of our box, and then we are going to be playing a some kind of tournament. Might be round robin. Dave's in charge of that.
Well,
part.
I'm going to say that just because it's 4 people, double round robin to make sure we have enough rounds. But I the thing is, like, we can't really even. I kind of want to say winner take all. I don't know.
Oh,
That's
hell no!
probably whatever.
Hey, that was not part of the deal. This is my one
I'm
box
altering the deal. Pray to not alter it any further. No, I mean, someone will get bragging rights. I don't know. Maybe
We make a bad trophy. I want to make a bad trophy.
a bad trophy.
Yeah, I want to
Hey,
make
someone's gonna be blacksmithing. I'm just saying. It's
Yeah.
set up a foundry in your
the
new house.
trophy will be.
I-
well,
yeah.
actually, part of the class is like you make some stuff while you're there and stuff like that.
Hell
It's-
yeah.
And I have a friend who's got a foundry and a forge.
He does.
Yeah, the old aluminum foundry, like one of those DIY type things.
He bought his. We're gonna get to that in 1 second. Are you all done though, JC? I didn't want
Yes,
to cut you
I'm
off.
done.
Okay, so outside of Magic, I did some jewelry casting with my friend. He bought like a little.
Speaking
yeah.
of blacksmithing and
Yeah,
related
this
activities.
is my blacksmithing guy, and so we a couple months ago carved stuff out of wax. So I carved the Star Trek insignia out of wax, and we cast it out of silver.
Oh my!
That was really cool. Silver's not that expensive. It's like
It's not.
92% silver.
It's,
it was like
it's like $18 an ounce
16, I think, around there.
for people watching this in the future.
In the future, when
When there is no internet or archives or economy,
Well, they
and we're
found this on a flash drive. Okay.
Yeah.
found this on a flash drive using a refurbished laptop, they managed to get working somehow.
Because
Maybe
they're,
it's this laptop.
because they're like, vaguely techie and engineering, and they found a power cell. Whatever. Hi, future person.
Hello, future. I'm so sorry we did this. It's all the boomers' fault. Anyway,
Oh no.
but yeah, so I have a Star Trek emblem out of silver. We're gonna finish. We're gonna do a separate backing circle out of bronze, and then I think I'm gonna buy a little like war metal case and like put it up, and so I could be like, yeah, it's from my time in Starfleet. So
Nice.
I wouldn't joke about that. Space Force is the thing now.
I know it.
It is a
For
thing.
those watching in the future.
That outside of Magic, I did that. I watched the Mr. Mercedes show based on a Stephen King series. It's really good, and I'd recommend it. It's on like a weird Amazon streaming, an AT&T streaming service or
Everything's
something.
on a weird streaming thing
DirecTV
now.
probably.
Yeah, I think
would
it's
say
maybe-
AT&T,
yeah.
because that's not a monopoly for some reason.
So yeah, Mr. Mercedes, a great book, great show. Finished the first season. Inside of Magic, I was at the pre-release. Dave was at. It was a lot of fun. Ended up, we just did a nice little 4-round tournament, and so when I got to round 3, I just asked my opponent, "Hey, do you want to split prizes no matter what happens?" And so we did. So I got to walk home with some packs.
Nice.
Dave and Ray actually played in the last round, and I think did the same pack split. So got to walk home with.
Yeah.
Got to walk home with 10 extra packs, and we opened a Elspeth specialty full border.
You,
did
you opened
you?
those sorry, you opened those packs?
We did. Me and Ray did.
The Beyond Death.
Half of them were mine.
No, I got you. It's still just weird opening packs. Like that's still
that's-
a thing that I'm like, because back in the old days you'd save those for drafts later. But that's not really a thing that happens anymore. So I guess that's why.
I mean, I'm here for Brawl and Commander, so I want to. And speaking of Brawl and Commander, I spent, oh god, more money than I wanted to on building a new, tweaking my red deck into a new Perforos deck and making a weird graveyard exile based Queen Marchesa deck. So I'm actually really excited about that. That took like 2 full nights of like 2 or 3 hours. I had
Nice.
going through my whole collection takes a really long time now. So if I just literally flip through all of my on-color rares, go through my books, and then go through my commander cards, it takes a really long time.
I'm curious, a topic for another time, probably, but how you sort your cards.
Yeah, that's a great topic. We should definitely, Tam, add it to the list. Please, and thank you. And so, yeah, that was me in and outside of Magic, but let's get going. So Dave is going to kind of take point on this one. So this topic started when Dave's like, I want to talk about, do a topic on playing MTGA, Magic the Gathering Arena, on your phone. And I said, you can do that?
Yeah.
And the topic was decided. So Dave, take it away.
All right, cool. So that's why I have this fantastic laptop that you can't actually see the screen for yet. I'm going to turn it around, and then you're going to see, hopefully, can you see this all right, Tam? This should be Manga Iggy. Yeah, no worries. So,
It's not.
is that like glary?
I can actually chit chat. It's not amazing.
Amazing.
There's no...
This is all black and white too, so I'm
There's-
sure that's not like overly great.
And I've got
There's not a
no-
higher tech way to do this
As
either.
long as you like really talk about what's going on.
Vanna
And into your
White.
mic, into your mic.
Yeah, it's definitely got to be
Yeah.
in your mic.
Lots of paint a picture with your words.
Yes.
Dave.
Because
Oh,
we
please.
also have
Paint a
our
picture.
You're
to our
Darth.
to our iTunes and Spotify listeners who JC is always pitching as truck drivers. So I'm always just picturing a lot of truck drivers listening to our
Lots
show.
of flannel, few hats.
So to our
few
truck driver
different
listeners,
hats.
we're going to paint a word picture for you.
Paint a word pic.
Indeed.
God, you're the worst.
Aren't I?
Or honestly, people just listening at a
wizard.
job
I'll
where
take
they have
wizard.
to have their phone down.
Yeah, I do that.
All right.
sometimes.
Speaking of phones, so I believe you can probably see it here. We've got our handy Steam client currently opened up. So here's you're not actually. You won't actually be running Magic Arena on your phone.
'Cause
what you're going to be
Wizards-
doing is you're going to be streaming from a PC that is instead running it, and you're just doing that remotely.
Because Wizards has not made a mobile app for Arena yet. I think it's something they've considered. We don't know if it's how possible it's going to be because there are certainly some screen size issues, as I'm sure Dave will get into.
Yeah, we're seeing some of the limitations, but it works. It's probably better if you use this with a tablet. So how do you do this? First thing, you open up your Steam. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add Magic Arena into your library. One of the there's a button at the very bottom that says add a game, and then give you the option to add a non-Steam game, which is what you're going to do.
And just a
takes
heads
few
up,
moments, it gets put in there, and
You
I've
will
already done it.
You will need. I mean, if you're playing Arena, you are going to need to be on Windows here for this. There's not Mac support yet, So you're either going to need to be on a PC or you're going to need to be emulating Windows, probably, I would assume.
More than likely, yes.
Because Arena doesn't run on Mac yet. So as of right now, you're going to have to be on a Windows machine.
In all honesty, if you are currently playing Arena on a Mac, you wanted it more. There's just no two ways about it.
Yeah, you did
and
something.
If you are emulating Windows on your Mac, then you probably already know this. You probably know a lot of different tricks for this, but this is totally something that can be done. So we've got...
just a quick side. Wizards, use all that Brawl money to get some Mac support going on. Anyway.
Seriously, guys, it's embarrassing that there's not Mac support yet.
Yeah, it kind of is, actually.
Right. So once you have this put into your library, the next thing you want to do is grab your phone, your tablet, whatever your mobile device is, and you're going to want to go to your app store. I'm using Google Play in order to pick the stuff up, and what you want to get is called Steam Link. And Steam Link is a fantastic program, and I'm going to get closer real quick. Oh, no. All right, Tam would be really mad if I broke that. All right, one sec. I'm going to get over to the thing.
That is Steam Link that Dave is Vanna Whiting right now.
And that's kind of what it's going to look like right there. Now, I've already got this paired with my desktop at home, but I figured I'd bring my laptop so I have kind of a new thing to kind of show you on this one. So I'm going to go into settings on my phone. I'm going to hit computer, and I'm currently connected to the network here in our studio, and I'm going to choose my oh no, that's a different one. Shit. Yeah. All right, cool.
Did you have to do a lot of experimenting with this, or was it pretty easy to get going on it?
It's fairly intuitive. So once you connect to your device, and you want to be on the same network when you do this to start with, so you're going to want to have some Wi-Fi connection going on, it's going to prompt you for a PIN, to put in that PIN to make sure that they, this is intentional.
like
you're not just
casting,
hacking someone's Steam account on a different machine. One sec, I'm going to enter in this PIN.
Hackers at home furiously typing, I'm sure. The live viewers trying to steal Dave's Steam account.
They're not getting much.
I bet when Dave actually accomplished this, like the first time he was like, hacks!
I may or may not have shouted out, "I'm a living god." That might be a thing. All right, and as we see right now, we've got... All right, cool. So this is opening up right now, and in a few moments, bam. So you probably can't see that too terribly well.
But
Dave is showing off the phone screen right now, and we have what appears to be Magic Arena. Yeah, Dave? No, not yet. But soon.
I'm hearing beeps.
I'm hearing bleeps and bloops.
A little higher up on your screen.
Yep. Show the people your work.
Oh, a little higher.
We're excited. We're excited.
They can see the...
They can see over there. Oh, you're right.
So I don't know why I'm not seeing this damn thing.
This is what happens when you do a live show.
Yeah, this
Sure is.
This is what they want, though. They want it to not work. Why do you think theater still exists? People like going to theater because they want to watch somebody biff it and break their nose live.
This way everybody can see what games I have on my Steam account.
Yes.
Judging Dave on his Steam library. I'm assuming Dave's not terribly mic'd.
It's a lot of anime dating games you got there, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
So many.
Doki Doki Literature Club is a real thing.
Yeah, uh-huh.
I've managed to avoid spoilers. I need to play that at some point. I know it's
Doki
twisty.
Doki Literature Club?
Yeah, I know it's twisty, but that's all I know.
Recent is Shower with Your Dad Simulator.
I always talk about how I'm offended if like social media sites don't advertise to my interests, but I also get like low key like feel called out when they do.
Yeah.
So like Facebook has been advertising a lot of like dating sims, which I feel bad. I don't like because like I don't necessarily want to play the dating sims because they're all like the anime ones. But to Facebook's credit, it's advertising dating sims for guys like that you choose guys in.
Have you
and dating sims that you're a girl choosing girls.
Okay.
And I'm like, well, 50% there.
Have you gotten any of the weird ones? Like I have a friend, names will remain nameless, friend who is not into these things, but who is getting MPreg. MPreg dating sims.
Oh, no.
You getting any weirdness?
No, not any weirdness.
It's right. While Dave is doing technical stuff, let's just talk about
I find myself surprised. Like I'm vaguely surprised that they make those, and then immediately not surprised. Like I'm shocked, but not surprised.
No, me neither. We should probably talk about Magic while Dave does it. So, I think it's an interesting thing. On the subject of Magic Mobile, like Hearthstone has it. Hearthstone, you can play on your computer and you can play Hearthstone Mobile. And I think that's one of the reasons that Hearthstone is doing so well.
Also, I don't think there's anything necessarily like technical limitations or even even some screen size limitations with what the way they do zooming and the way they do things like I think you could do it phone size, you know.
For me, I think they might see. I question if you can actually do Magic well, because I think I'm sure we could do something. Like if you said you have to do it or the world will blow up, they could put something out. But with the amount of because think about Hearthstone cards. I don't know if you played with Hearthstone, but Hearthstone cards, they have a lot of keyword stuff that is very, very dense, which Magic tries not to go to so dense because they normally have to have reminder text on most cards. So Hearthstone cards...
Because people don't remember what banding does.
Oh, God. Yeah. But Hearthstone cards don't have that much text on them.
Yeah.
And Hearthstone cards...
Which makes it easy to display on the screen if you don't have that much text.
And Hearthstone was very much designed with a mobile screen in mind. Like I'm sure they were like, let's get this on the phone. That's where the money's going to be. Magic was not. And so Arena runs surprisingly well for a complete and total version of Magic on a computer.
Yeah.
And I think I would be fine doing it on like a tablet touchscreen, but I question someone with my crappy vision's capabilities of playing a good game of Magic on a phone. Like I would love it if they could put it on my phone, but I just don't know if they can.
Yeah, that's a good question because, like, the only way I could think to feasibly do it is to somehow have, like, a list on the side of the screen of what cards you have. That way it's easy to reference, or doing something where you truncate either the art or the text or something wonky that,
and
like starts to interfere with, like, you know, displaying the card and artist credits. And
yeah, and I mean, like, I think there's also, like, you have to be mindful of the less experienced players because... Yeah. I feel like if I just had art, I could do a pretty good job of a deck that I knew just going, and like even if I could double click it and check wording. But if you're,
I mean, even then, depending like how many reprints of it with different art that there are, or
no, yeah. So it's one of those situations where I'd love it available on my phone, but I don't know if it's realistic. Now, I mean, and once Dave's got this all sorted out and can be on mic.
Yeah, I think part of it is I assume that it was already associated with Steam since I've done that with my other computer, and I probably didn't do it with this one. So that should be a relatively quick fix if that's the case. At least showing this working. If this is not going to cooperate, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
All right, so
you can also just like talk through it, like. We see the MTG Arena on your computer.
So you see Arena listed there, and now it looks like it is actually going to give me the option to stream this. Is that how we're going to do this? Is that?
So when you stream it to your phone, do you get control on your phone?
Yeah. So
it's not like just casting; it's actually streaming it.
Yeah, because it goes to a trackpad or a mouse to phone screen touching. Dave was showing this to me earlier.
Yeah, I was able to do it no problems with my desktop, which is weird because I figured that'd be the one. That was the whole point of the laptop in the first place, so I actually had physical control if something broke, which I guess it kind of did. Like really?
Now, obviously,
what do you want to do when Jesus comes back, computer?
So this is clearly not the official way to do this because there isn't one. Yeah. And so if you want to get it on your phone or your tablet, you're going to have to jump through some hoops.
Yeah.
I'm curious if Wizards can do a tablet-only release because I think it'd be fine on a tablet.
I think it'd be fine on a tablet too.
But I really question the capability of doing it well. And
I mean, it is really just a screen size thing. At a certain point, you just don't have. You need a certain amount of real estate.
And like at Hearthstone, you can have 7 creatures on board in Hearthstone. You can't put more creatures on the board. Hearthstone has smaller deck sizes. A lot of things. Numbers are generally smaller in Hearthstone. Well, I suppose 30 life, power toughness are pretty similar. I suppose,
but in Magic, you can have a lot of cards on your board.
Yeah, you can. There isn't. There's certainly a hard limit on Arena, but I can't imagine trying to play a game where I have 20 creatures, which maybe that's not super likely, but 20 creatures that I'm trying to determine which are and aren't attacking, or double blocking 20 attacking creatures.
But my 20 Polyraptors.
If you're attacking with 20 Polyraptors, I should probably just pick up my cards.
Yeah, probably.
But
another thing is, so I've been playing a bit of Hearthstone, streaming it at TCGU University's Twitch, and it's a mana-based system, but it's all based on crystals, right? I don't have to physically tap or commit any cards.
Yeah.
And the crystals themselves don't have effects like a lot of the lands do.
That's an incredible point. I haven't even thought about that, Tam. Yeah, so if you've got distinct lands that tap for different amounts of mana, and some of them have different abilities, you're going to need to go through your land pile, make sure you're tapping the correct stuff. And sometimes the auto tapper doesn't work. So I've got to go in, I've got to tap the right land for mana. And I'm doing this on a 3-inch by 2.5 inch, 4-inch by 2.5 inch screen. I mean, I just don't know if it's realistic. And so...
I'm sorry, I was having a somewhat unrelated thought, but you know how back in the day, back way in the day of Magic when it was first starting, it was like an anti-system? Like,
Yeah.
the other people would get your cards.
Yeah,
Like,
you'd
it-
literally
like,
flip the top card of your deck, and then you'd play for those top 2 cards.
Right. So I wonder if...
Normally just the one, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yours and theirs.
I wonder if moving
fair.
to Arena and online formats, if you could bring like an anti-system back, because the cards are much less expensive generally.
That'd be interesting. Now, I think one of the main things is people don't want to lose their stuff, but in a digital client where things could be
But
duplicated,
people also like to gamble.
something that I would be super interested in. Now, I don't think people would want to lose cards from their
So
main
maybe
collections.
not lose cards,
but
maybe like gems or something.
something I think I'd be personally interested in
Mm-hmm.
is maybe like a format where you've got your sealed deck and then winner gets your sealed pool and you get kicked out of the tournament and you get to keep your cards, but then they duplicate that sealed pool into theirs and then they get to do. I mean, you could do something like that. Iron Man is a fun format of Magic where if a card would get exiled to go to the graveyard, you rip it up.
Physically
Yeah.
destroy it.
Physically destroy it.
And then whatever you...
Quick into this thing again. So, as this is not cooperating, and I probably could get it, but it would take forever, I'm just going to remote into my desktop at home.
Okay.
And as we can see... Tam, do we have a mic over there that I can use?
So barely. I can do my best to give it to you.
All right. If not, we can always play like telephone operator, and I can tell you, and then you... All right. So as we can see on my fantastic screen, this is what it's supposed to look like when you have it proper. So we've got MTG Arena added into our library. We can click on it, all that stuff. I'm going to click play. And there's a really cool sound effect too. Isn't that super neato?
You don't love the bleeps and bloops, Dave?
Not a big fan of it normally. I'm going to enter in my password to this. You know, not in front of the camera.
Coward.
I don't need...
Coward.
But while
Oh,
Dave does
yeah.
that, yeah, Iron Man, the cards get destroyed, then you get your opponent's sealed pool. So I would like to see... Hearthstone really pushes what you can do digitally
Yeah.
with some of their mechanics. So I wouldn't mind some formats that were really pushing digital stuff for...
I would like that actually, since
So as you can see...
and I've always been a proponent of this. I've talked about this in some of the earlier podcasts that we did too. If you're going to have a digital client, do some creative things that you can't really do in paper.
Which they are doing with more mirror and random stuff like that. All right, it looks like, Dave, do we have it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
so
got it
that
on
was-
screen.
Yeah, no, it's up. So we've got, as you can see, we've got the home page here. We got this button, which allows for the keyboard if you need the keyboard for whatever reason. Oh no! Oh crap!
Are we still audio, or are we just totally...
Yeah, I broke it.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, so there we go. So the bottom button for keyboard, which is up, you press that button again, keyboard goes away. Over here is for mouse controls, so you can do it as a trackpad if you're a sociopath, or touch, which is way more intuitive and much better, which is what I
Trackpad
use.
if you're a sociopath.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So it functions pretty much exactly as you would expect it to, point-click interface. But the biggest problem, of course, is it is a very small screen compared to what you'd have on your PC. And if you're not using a mouse, it's very, very easy to have difficulty clicking on what you want to click on. This can be remedied by a Bluetooth mouse. But
Stylus
I don't know-
might be okay, too.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone necessarily thinks that's...
If I'm at the point where I've got my phone and a Bluetooth mouse, the question is, why am I not playing on a laptop?
Yeah,
sit down.
pretty much.
So yeah, so it's doable as we demonstrated. We've got Dave on the phone playing Arena, and so have you played any games on the phone?
Several, yeah.
How's it gone?
Fine for the most part. Like the only problem is you have a little bit of difficulty, at least clicking things because it's gonna be very small icons.
Yeah.
Things like that. But you can do it. It's totally usable, and you really don't need the keyboard to play Arena, so that makes it much easier.
No, you don't really need it.
If you can get like a Bluetooth keyboard or Bluetooth keyboard, Bluetooth mouse, or something like that, then it makes it much, much easier to do, because then you have way more control as opposed to just kind of, inadvertently fat fingering what you want to try and cast. I haven't cast the wrong thing yet.
But it's going to happen.
It'll happen. It's
Yeah.
100% going to happen at some point.
You're pushing us toward a world where you're playing it on your phone, someone else is playing it on on their phone. You both have augmented reality goggles so you can see the creatures on the street.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you're gonna put your phone here,
Yep.
which we're gonna refer to a dual disc.
I don't know if we can
Something along
say
those lines.
dual sphere. We're going to call it a
Dual
dual
sphere.
sphere.
Dual sphere.
I would live for the day that I can Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle some guy on the street, but with Magic the
The
Gathering.
heart of the cards.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. Anytime that people want to like kidnap my loved ones or put my life on the line, and then I can go play Magic on the street.
Steal Grandpa's soul.
Yeah, that sounds well. My grandpa's dead, but
I got a
still
question
soul.
about
I suppose that's true.
the online on your phone.
Yeah, sure.
What do you guys think the I don't want to use the word morality. What's the ethics of using this roundabout? Do you think that's an okay thing because Wizards
Absolutely.
isn't doing it?
I don't think that there is a problem with it because it does not give you an unfair advantage. If anything, I think it is giving you. I'm drawing a blank on what the opposite
It's
of
a
advantage of.
disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Yeah,
It's
there we
like
go.
that first word
Handicap.
went with dis.
Yeah.
You're
It's
not.
handicapped was the word I was looking
Okay,
for.
okay.
But
Yeah, you're not depriving Wizards of any money, like as in like it's a product that they offer that you're not paying for.
I
You're
mean,
not
it's
depriving them of money, as in you're hurting their brand by adding toxicity to the environment by doing that.
I see this as no different than like if you had your computer set up in your basement and you wired it to your TV upstairs so
Yep.
you could sit on your couch and play Arena. I mean, you're still using the account, and I'd say the only thing that would be potentially an issue is if by doing this you were consistently dropping, lagging games, making it hard for other people to play you. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, that's not even immoral. That's just annoying, and even if that happens, they probably get a win on you.
Yep.
that's more going to be a problem with your ISP anyway.
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, when I'm doing this means that I need to have an internet connection at my house for my PC, and I need to have mobile data or a Wi-Fi spot or something for this. So those are two sources of internet that I need to connect to, where I'm remoting into a desktop and using that in order to play Magic Arena and just being able to see what's being streamed off of my phone. So, yeah, that's...
And I'm blind as all get out, but something that I never played Hearthstone on my phone. I played Hearthstone because, again, my vision's not great, but I had got a big tablet, and I would sit around in bed and play Hearthstone on my tablet. So I will probably go home and this weekend set Magic up on my tablet.
Yeah,
because that sounds awesome. If I can, because normally instead of being in my basement, if I can lay around up in my living room, I can put some records on and kind of like lay on my couch and play Magic. That sounds awesome.
So I'll figure out how to get it on my Nook color.
So beforehand, I was hitting up a couple of pawn shops locally to see if I could find a cheap pad, because I thought that would probably work much, much better. I am super glad I didn't find it, because I don't think it would have worked on the fly. It probably would have taken me some amount of time of tinkering with it and getting mad, kind of like, watching watching a parent try and set up a VCR or something like that back in the old days, just not understanding how this shit works.
So funny story. My girlfriend brought over a DVD not long ago, right?
Huh.
To our younger viewers, that is a small circle that you can view a film on.
It's a lot like Blu-ray, right? So, but like I didn't have a DVD player hooked up in any reasonable manner, so I had to, because the PS3, like we have a PS3, so like I was like,
I mean, that
well,
counts.
that's not
Well, I
hooked
guess-
up, yeah.
oh,
So I
yeah.
had to like go hook it up, and
I can't remember the last time I purchased a standalone.
Yeah.
I mean, like I buy video game consoles.
well, that being said, most video game consoles, if they're not Sony, don't play DVDs because
Xboxes do now. They have
Do
Blu-ray
they?
players. I was actually researching this. So Xbox.
Yeah, that's a
Xboxes-
Blu-ray
They
player.
lost. Well, Xbox lost, and I think their games are on Blu-ray discs now.
oh, okay.
Well, Blu-ray
Well,
was
'cause-
initially Sony's thing anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
'cause
no,
you,
but
you
X-
have to buy the rights from
But
Sony.
but
that
Xbox.
sounds on brand.
Microsoft tried HD DVD, which was a
yeah,
great.
they backed the wrong pony.
Well, I'm sorry. The name was HD DVD.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
a terrible name. That's why
Well,
they lost.
it was a bad name. From a technical perspective, the HD DVD was just way inferior compared to the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray just outperformed it on every single metric.
They also got porn on the Blu-ray faster.
Porn, they kind of spread it. That was definitely that was one of the reasons why Betamax failed, is because the porn industry backed VHS instead of Betamax.
Yeah.
There you go.
If I remember right, I think that Betamax was originally Sony's product, and I remember my dad was super bent out of shape about Sony products in general, and he was not normally an adapter to those. He was like, he got burnt on Betamax once. He's not going to get burnt on another Sony product. So when it was Blu-ray HD DVDs back in the olden days, in like 2005, 2006, he definitely got an HD DVD player.
So bringing this all the way back to Magic. I think Wizards, you are missing an opportunity because there are people who want to play it on a Mac, because come on, and two, want to play it on their phones, and you can release a mobile app for it. Well, you can do it. I believe in you.
That is definitely one of the things as far as Mac gaming goes. Is I can't think of many games that are supported on a Mac. I think it was mainly just Blizzard games for the longest time were those, and then something that's been around for like 6-7 years.
you can emulate it just fine.
And I think Steam has expanded the library, but the fact that like this is not a hard app to get on a Mac. I mean, well, I say with no programming experience. Every other mobile, if Hearthstone can do it, you guys can do it too. You're Wizards of the Coast. Come on.
I would argue that Magic is a much more complicated game than Hearthstone.
But it's not. You just need to make Arena work on Mac, which is a computery thing. But there are people who know how to make computery things. Hire those people and pay them a living wage, Wizards, and then you'll have it on Mac. This is Hasbro and Wizards.
All those harsh words.
I'm not going to try not to scream this whole episode, but I think last episode I talked about Wizards. In the past, we've talked about Wizards doesn't hire people at good wages because it's an honor to work at Wizards. If they actually hired the tech people to do this, Arena could release things way more faster. We'd have Mac support. Wizards needs to pull their head out of their ass.
Would it be profitable though? Is the other thing.
Yes.
Adding it to Mac, is that actually going to make the differences? Are they going to make their money back in the labor? Said,
adding it to like creating a phone app would absolutely be profitable.
A phone app, 100%.
The world is full of Mac users, and here's the reality. Wizards wants whales. I am not a whale, and I spend at least $50 4 times a year. So I'm spending over $200 a year on this game. There are a lot of people like me or who want to spend more money on this game than me, or who will.
You'd have to develop, if you were to do this, there's so many iPhones in the ecosystem that you would have to develop
you would have to
run on an iPhone.
So yeah,
and the fundamental software architecture that I mean, there's a style to how Apple programs. So
I mean,
yeah.
So I think we should probably. I think we probably wrap up on this topic. I think we've said quite a bit on it. If you want it on your phone or tablet, it's doable but not easy. Curious to see if Wizards going to go down that path, but they keep telling us Mac support's coming, so that's just something they need to get in their ass and gear about.
Could you just go over the apps required one more time for this?
Oh yeah, the things you're going to need to have: Steam Link on your phone. That's probably the most important one. You want to have Steam downloaded on your PC, and Magic Arena. Add Magic Arena to your Steam. Into your library, connect your phone to your desktop with that Steam link, and voila. And as an added bonus, then you can play whatever game you have on Steam too.
Yeah.
Probably not overly well. Without a Bluetooth controller.
Shooters would work well.
Without a Bluetooth controller, or like if you have a copy of Myst or Riven, those games probably work like a dream. Doing this, but I don't think I'd want to play the Resident Evil 2 remake on my phone. Without a controller, at least. I mean, because you can pair a Bluetooth, your PlayStation 4 controller. If you have one of those, you can do that with your Xbox controller.
You sure can.
That's
if you're one of those folks that has a Steam controller, you can totally do it.
All
with that
7 of you.
So,
I've got a dusty one in my house somewhere.
Allegedly, people really, really like the Steam controller. I can't say I've ever seen one in the wild.
I've seen
never
one.
have either. I also hear the same thing.
I've heard if you very briefly, if you want to spend all of the time to get it set up perfectly, it's good. But if you want to plug in and play, it's a pain in the butt. JC, do you have any final thoughts on this topic before we roll on?
I sure don't.
Okay, so there you go. If you want to play Arena on your phone, we just showed you how. If you have any technical questions on that, post comments. Dave will help you.
Actually, yeah, I'll function as tech support. I'm fine with this because I'm still having issues with it myself. It's definitely not perfect, and I can't imagine that it would be perfect in any.
If you were Gen Y and not an older millennial, you would.
We'll just call up a couple of Zoomers to help me out next time. So
Zoomers.
Alrighty. So we are going to move on, but before we do, we are going to take a quick word from our sponsors. So we're going to shoot you over to that, and then we'll be right back with the next topic.
All right. Thank you so much. And we have our sponsors today for you to check out. We have Cards Custom Build. They have custom cosplay supplies. You can find the link to their shop down below. You get 5% off all your custom cosplay needs when you mention TCG University. We also have inkedgaming.com, where they have custom stitch playmats, all your geeky sundries, all your supplies, anything geeky that you want to put on your shelves at work, your shelves at home, all your geeky accessories, all your gaming accessories. Inkedgaming.com. You do get a discount when you mention TCG University. That's TCG University, all one word, all caps, for a discount on Inked Gaming. Also, we would love your support on our very own TCG University bookstore. You can get yourself some customized merchandise, get a nice shirt. That is tcguniversity.threadless.com. And thank you so much, and back to your content.
And we are back. So what we're going to be talking about next is, this is a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and this is an argument that I am particularly invested in. So I thought it might be fun for us to, argue in front of you all. So
Sure.
The card type Planeswalker, I'd say, is likely the most heatedly discussed card type in the game, I think is probably fair to say. There is a large contingent of players, I don't want to stereotype, but generally they are players from before Planeswalkers were printed, so people who were playing before Lorwyn, but not to say there aren't newer players who don't like them either. But there is the idea that Planeswalkers as a card type were a mistake. They're too high-powered, they're too hard to find, they're too confusing. There's any number of arguments against them, which we will get into. But the two sides are generally Planeswalkers were a mistake and shouldn't have been made and do not do good things for the game. And the other side of it, which I will readily admit I am on the side of, that I would say Planeswalkers are one of the best things that ever happened to Magic the Gathering. They tweaked how the universe worked. When Time Spiral came out, they did the mending. They changed Planeswalkers from godlike to regular people, regular magic people who can also teleport between planes. So powered down from gods to magicians, so to speak. And I think there's also a large contingent of players who are a big fan of the card type. They are my favorite card type. I prefer following the stories to Planeswalkers. But yeah, I want to get into this. So clearly I've made I've indicated what side I am on, and I wanted to ask, what do you guys think? Do you like the card type in the game?
I like the card type in the game, but I don't think that it's a thing that should have happened. Yeah, there's
Okay.
have my cake and eat it too.
Okay.
I like the lore of Planeswalkers, and I like them in theory. However, I don't feel like Wizards has done a sufficient job to make Planeswalkers not a problem.
So you wouldn't say they have a problem with the card type, but you have a problem with how Wizards has balanced it over the
Yes,
years?
correct.
Okay. So I'll be the
And argument one, Oko.
Yeah.
Argument two, Jace.
No, yeah.
You can even go with Gideon Ally of Zendikar. For
Yeah.
a while, that was easily the strongest Planeswalker that was in the format, and probably, I think it was pretty good in Modern at the time, too. Just the ability to keep shooting out 2/2s and then permanent uninteractable.
And that's
Yeah.
more what I'm talking about in the way
Ren
that
and
Wizards,
Six is another example.
Wizards has balanced it. I don't feel like there's enough cards that deal with Planeswalkers sufficiently.
I think that's true. I'm happy to see we're getting more just black removal, say creature or planeswalker.
Say permanent.
It's been nice to see also them kind of pushing what red burn spells can do. It is hard to balance a card that can hit creatures, planeswalkers, and players, and so we're getting better rate burn spells that just hit creatures and planeswalkers, and I'm happy to see that on red. I will.
Which I mean I get because it's kind of wordy. Like I mean like this burn spell hits players, planeswalkers.
Well, so
Well, that's
now
why they changed it to any target.
They
Yeah,
used
to
to
any
be.
target.
We also had to deal with Planeswalkers, for those of you who are less experienced with Magic, got added in Lorwyn Block. Lorwyn Block came out 2008-ish, I think.
Now correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not
2007, 2008 in that wheelhouse.
Okay.
I'm not an old enough Magic player to know. I know that there were special formats for them. The character cards,
Vanguard.
Vanguard.
They did two series, I believe, of Vanguard. They were interesting ideas. They still kind of exist on Magic Magic Online as the old avatars, like
And
Momir Vig.
Yeah.
And so,
is that.
So Vanguard was a special format
Yeah,
where it
'cause
was
it was just Vanguard.
It was
yeah.
never tournament play. It was never tournament format, I don't believe.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah, like when they released it, it was, and I believe the leaps and bounds best Vanguard card was Miri, because Miri lets your lands tap for any color.
Were they kind of progenitors to Planeswalkers in a way, or
None of them were Planeswalkers. The thing is, they were in play.
right?
You
Right,
could
but
not.
I mean, as
yeah.
a card design,
I think potentially. So what the Vanguards did for the viewers who don't know is you would pick a Vanguard. It would be an oversized card, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was a character that the implication was generally that they were controlling the deck. Yes, that it wasn't
Kind of.
Kind of.
So
Kind of, yeah.
the way that these things worked is they had a static ability. Well, by static I mean it had an ability where either you activated it by paying mana, like the Sliver Queen. I think that was 3 mana. You make a 1/1.
That sounds
or it had
right.
a
1/1.
static ability that just changed the way that you got to play the game.
Yep.
And it modified your starting life total and starting hand total.
So you might get more cards and have some less life, or maybe not as strong of a Vanguard effect, or you might get a smaller hand size, I believe was also an option.
Yes.
So you get a larger, smaller hand size, and if your hand size was larger, you'd have some drawbacks, or you wouldn't have stuff as strong. If your hand size was smaller, you got some cooler bonuses. So Vanguard didn't last a super long time, I don't think. Side note, some of the craziest Magic I ever played was we played Plane Chase, Vanguard, Arch Enemy, Commander once.
yeah.
We played with every single supplementary set we could get our hands on. It was absolutely absurd and ridiculous, but it was a good time. But that is probably a whole different. There's like 3 topics in there. But so yeah, so I would say it's probably fair to say.
Yeah, because I just feel like there were some things that harken back to it, like emblems, and because emblems fundamentally change like
Yeah.
how you play.
There was no card that interacted with the Vanguard card.
Right.
It was somewhere between a commander and an emblem.
Yeah,
Like a commander that was
exactly.
always in play. It couldn't actually attack. It probably has an ability, and your opponent can't do anything about it.
Yeah. So I think it's probably fair to say that might have led towards that design a little bit. So Planeswalkers came out in Lorwyn, and it was. I remember I played before Planeswalker and I've played after Planeswalkers, and part of this was I was in high school. I didn't play as much Magic. I was much less invested then as I am now.
I have too, actually.
But for me, I always had a hell of a time following the story. Sometimes I tried to read the books. Planeswalkers were not good main characters. You could follow Urza around, but when Urza can do whatever, just a quick example.
I'm
of the,
Chandra. I do fire and I steal spells.
I mean, Chandra is is a character who can be beaten. Just an example of what an old Planeswalker does in the book. The Thran, the Planeswalker Diefeed is captured by Yawgmoth, and Yawgmoth is doing experiments to figure out how Planeswalker sparks work. And the only way that he can restrain Diefeed is by inserting a metal rod into her brain and constantly stirring it around because her brain is regenerating that fast. So that is what Planeswalkers can.
Also gross.
Yeah, very.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yawgmoth, not a very nice person.
Yeah, it was kind of a dick.
Kind of a dick.
Yeah.
There's
he
a little-
did other things to Glacian, aka the Spark that is probably in Karn
They-
now.
yeah,
maybe?
it's in Spark. It's in Karn. I think. It's Karn's.
It was in Urza's head for a while.
No, Karn has Venser Spark
So-
right now.
Venser Spark? Okay, so he had Urza's Spark beforehand.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
from
Yeah, he
a,
did.
Probably.
From
He
a design standpoint, Brett, since you're on the side of liking Planeswalkers, do you feel like they're balanced and good for the environment,
Here's my. I mean,
especially as someone who played before they were there?
there are certainly unbalanced Planeswalkers, but if we look at the history of cards that are banned, even if we look at the history of cards that are banned, only including cards that came after Planeswalkers are not the most banned cards. Artifacts,
fair.
instant sorceries, there are broken cards all the time. Now,
And for every Oko, there's a kind of throwaway Planeswalker.
There's like Calyx, the new guy. He's
Yeah.
a great example. Now, I'm not saying Calyx is bad, but Calyx goes in a certain deck. So it's hard. I mean, Planeswalkers are all over the place. I love the core set walkers we've been getting. The 3-mana Sorin, who only interacts with vampires. We had the 4-mana Liliana from the last core set that did really cool zombie stuff.
Yeah.
So
Ones that are way more narrow.
yeah.
Certainly.
So like I like the idea of the cards. I like what they represent. I like how easy it is for me to follow the story. And like when they announced that War of the Spark was going to have 36 Planeswalkers and there were going to be uncommon Planeswalkers, I was thrilled. I love that set. Now there's
I do love that set.
and for me, it's I don't play that much tournament Magic, and so like Narset and Teferi and Renin 6 and Oko and Jace affect formats, and there are people who want to play Magic a certain way, and these cards might not. They don't like what they do to the formats. And something I will be honest on the gameplay. A lot of times, Magic is a different beast. A very solid strategy is resolve a Planeswalker, defend your Planeswalker. And as if you watch my Brawl videos, there'll be times where I'm like, well, they've had their Ugin for 3 turns in a row, so I don't think there's a way we can come out of this. Planeswalkers are crazy value. If you can stick a walker and it is a particular... And defend it, you will likely, unless it is a particularly narrow walker, you're probably going to win that game. And so I think there needs to be caution with designing, but there needs to be caution with designing artifacts. I like the feel of it. Like, before Planeswalkers, I liked green cards, and Worms were cool, and Thorn Elemental was a neat card. But now I wish I could give the Magic cards I have now to high school Brett. And I could be like, Chandra is so cool, or Sorin's a vampire. I think it's easier for people to connect. When they did the core set, this last core set's the Chandra-themed one. I was thrilled. I was so excited. I've got Chandra sleeves. I've got my special Chandra avatar that I unlocked for Arena. Like, I love what the cards represent. I've made Chandra tribal decks. I don't like unbalanced card of any format. And I honestly kind of like mid-rangey gameplay. I like playing value Planeswalkers and battling my Planeswalkers into theirs. I think we need to exist in places where we have the removal to deal with them, but I love what they bring from a story perspective. I like their gameplay, and I also feel like it feels more... I feel more connected than, say, a legendary creature, because Magic is this huge multiverse, so I'm like, oh, I like Feather on Ravnica. She's my favorite character. Well, Feather's on Ravnica, and that's fine if you're on Ravnica, but I like to think like, ooh, we're going to Ikoria. I wonder what Planeswalkers we're going to see. I wonder if we're going to get...
Or someone who I always wanted to get a Spark was Kamal.
Yeah!
Missed it by a sibling.
Yep,
I
missed
guess.
it by a sibling.
So, I mean, I will readily admit that they've caused issues, they've caused strife, and and also, if you were used to playing a different kind of Magic, a pre-modern, a pre-Lorwyn kind of Magic where spells were bigger, I don't blame you for not liking Magic, because it's a different game now. It is not the same kind of gameplay.
Yeah, that is one thing. I think Planeswalkers have definitely changed Magic and how it's played.
I think, I will say the same, and I think Planeswalkers are one of, or I will regularly say, the best thing that ever happened to Magic, and there are people who disagree with that statement. And when I say that, I mean the card type, but I also mean the stories they can tell. I like some of the old Magic story. I think the new Magic the new Magic story is superheroes but Magic. Yeah. There are people who don't like that, who feel like it's dumbed down, who feel like the story was more complex. I feel, now obviously I like it when we have books instead of like a small blurb about Retheros, but
sometimes you like to read about Dritz Stewart, and you like people you can root for and people you can root against that are big and carry on through multiple stories.
I know, and it's fun. Like when we go to Eldraine, I was excited about the concept of Arthurian, but I was also very excited. It's like, it's the Kenrith twins. I love them from Battle Bond, and Garruk's back.
Yeah,
and
my boy.
Garrick's back, and he managed to shake whatever the hell Liliana gave him.
Yeah, and I like the story. I like the gameplay. I like what they've done for Magic. I like that we can throw Chandra and Jace and Nissa on a thing and have recognizable characters. We're getting a Magic show because they have characters that are marketable. I think a Brothers War anime would be awesome, and I think it would, or an animated show. I don't think it'd be good live action. So an animated I
want it as an anime.
A anime/animated Brothers War story would be awesome. And I see people going that's what the Netflix series should be. That is not what the Netflix series is going to be. The Netflix series is going to follow the characters we know.
Are they actually going to be doing a Netflix series?
Yes, it's in the works, and the Russo brothers, the Marvel guys, are producing.
Really?
So it's all so are they just going to be focusing on Jace? Have they said anything about what it's supposed to be?
I don't know if they've gone into it. I think they've hinted or told us it's going to be following Gatewatch-esque characters, so it's going to be about the Planeswalkers. My guess is Chandra. Chandra is more the face of Magic than Jace is. They've shifted. They want.
Suppose.
It's a good marketing. She's my favorite character. She's also Mark Rosewater's favorite character.
I think there's a push to make Elspeth the face.
Bringing her back is big. They want to have and this is not me complaining. I think this is good.
Because a lot of the Elspeth cards weren't bad either.
No, Elspeth hasn't really had a bad card. They want
the 5-mana one wasn't great.
It wasn't terrible.
But I still played that in plenty of tournaments.
But I think Wizards wants a diverse cast of characters. I think they want women characters on the forefront. Chandra is not a terribly complex character, but she is compelling. And so if you can say, hey, here's Chandra, she's feels strongly, she's emotional, she's cool, she's a badass.
Her hair is made of fire.
Her hair is made of fire. Like, I think that is a character where if you're going into a boardroom and trying to pitch a show, you can get a show greenlit. Here we go. If you say, it's okay, there's these two brothers, and they opened this thing, and it was into a bad place. And then this brother goes on this large eugenics program, and then he gets his head cut off, but he's
So-
still alive. And then there's a robot.
So all
I-
this
I
being
think
said,
I don't think that eugenics is necessarily what he did. 'Cause
So-
Didn't he, like-
that kind of implies some genocide going on. He definitely bred warriors.
That
That's a thing
eugenics
that
is
happened.
breeding humans. That's all eugenics
Oh,
is.
yeah.
okay.
So,
So, I mean, the Nazis did really bad stuff, but eugenics is bad.
Usually when I hear eugenics, it's normally in the context of, all right, so those people don't get to reproduce.
It's
or-
it is on the loosest definition breeding humans to get certain traits.
okay.
It is not a good thing.
no,
It's bad. Here's they tune into this show for the hot takes. Eugenics bad.
Yeah,
But
but I mean, 23andMe is watching right now, saying like, is it?
Is it though?
Urza. Anyway, before we're done talking about
So
eugenics.
no, I just
go
want
ahead,
to
go
say
ahead.
I just want to say too. I don't think the people and to be honest, I haven't encountered many of these people, but I imagine that the opinion exists that Planeswalker is bad. I don't think any of those people are saying Planeswalker is bad because the story got too simple. I think they're saying Planeswalker bad because I don't like what it does mechanically.
I think I've run into. I mean, I don't want to use the Reddit straw man. I've certainly run into both. I think there's also if you've been playing Magic for your whole life and you were not 7 when the game first came out, and I mean, I can't imagine what it's like. I mean, there's a reason that old school's a format. There are people who liked the Magic how it was when they played it. They have nostalgia for that. There's nothing wrong with that. And they see all this new stuff and they don't like. I mean, there are plenty of people who complain about the stories. Every time the Netflix show gets brought up, there's somebody who's like, it's going to be about the Brothers' War, and it's like, even if you think that, even if that would be a good show, that is not going to make Netflix money. That is not going to pull viewers in. You need to make it needs to be marketable. So there are people who I've definitely run into online who don't like how the story is and who wax poetic about the old story. And I also didn't. That wasn't super on my radar.
I honestly think you make the story about War of the Spark.
I don't disagree.
I would watch the heck out of that.
I think Nicol Bolas isn't my favorite villain, and he's a little bit mustache twirly, but he's fun and he's ridiculous. And he talks in all caps in the books.
There are a bunch of things that you could do. You could even do the Kamigawa stories, and I don't see a single reason why you wouldn't want to do something like that at a certain point.
Agreed.
Like if you're gonna, even if it would be like a prequel, because it was an Umezawa that fought Nekobolas and stopped him the first time. It was a descendant of, I want to say it was Toshi in
That sounds
Kamigawa, but it was an Umezawa that got sent over to Dominaria, and spoiler alert for the end of those 3 books, he gets sent to Dominaria by
Myojin of Night's Reach.
Night's Reach. There you go. Whichever the Black God was on Kamigawa.
And then Nicol Bolas ripped her face off. Well,
Yeah.
killed her and took her mask. Yeah,
Anyway.
Nicol Bolas, he's been a badass for a long time. Anyway, we've been talking
he's kind
about
of a prick. He's kind of a prick.
But to say this, I think what I think at the end of the day about Planeswalkers is Wizards, my friends. This is for you. This is for you, Wizards. I would like you to respect Planeswalkers as a permanent have a weird position in how assailable they are, and I would like you to understand how much you push a Planeswalker can really be dangerous.
Oh, yeah, you can ruin a standard environment. You can ruin you can ruin whole environments. That's why we see Red and 6 banned in Legacy. So you've got to be careful.
Because Planeswalkers are not that easy to deal with, and they are defendable. They have a weird position on the board, and if you make them really powerful, it warps formats.
Absolutely. Dave, any final thoughts on this one?
I mean, pretty much that. Yeah, there have been plenty of Planeswalkers that I would argue have flat out ruined formats and have been very, very a huge problem in the older formats.
Yeah.
Even let's even look at War of the Spark. You have the new Teferi, which just shuts out your opponents from playing the game in a lot of instances. They don't interact with you because they can't play things at instant speed. You can play whatever at instant speed aside from creatures, but who plays those because they're not good? That's just the 3-mana Teferi.
Yeah.
When 5-mana Teferi was in Standard, that was, I don't know if you guys ever had the privilege of playing against that card.
all the time on
when
Arena,
it went off. You had the fantastic interactions where you could just keep shell gaming with it and -3 in your own Teferi so you don't deck, and if they don't have a win condition, which isn't exactly something that you want to do. The point being that Teferi was also way too good.
Oh, yeah.
When the conversation that I was having with somebody about Blue-White Control in Modern about the time that card was printed was, yeah, I need to find some Jaces. Why would you play Jaces when you could play Teferi?
Yeah.
That sounds like that's kind of a problem right there
Yeah.
because Jace had just come off the ban list less than a year earlier, a
Mm-hmm.
few months.
And that's the thing about when you have new planeswalkers that are coming out and they're at a certain power level, they have retroactive effects.
And like
you know?
say legacy that doesn't have as many cards that
Yeah.
so standard if a card says destroy target planeswalker or creature that might be playable. A 3-mana removal spell is not playable in legacy like that probably. You can't run Hero's Downfall in legacy.
I think you can play Swift Cut Murderous Rider.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it depends on I mean there are obviously better removal spells, but I think there are weird corner cases where you can get away with playing those types of cards. Like I mean definitely people played cards like Toxic Deluge
Yeah.
and Marsh Casualties, which Marsh Casualties not as it's double black, but it's only 2 mana. But to kill things like True Name Nemesis, because
Yeah.
True Name Nemesis is that much of a problem. People will play Vindicate as a removal spell, and that's 3 mana. You have Liliana of the Veil, which is a lot of the same.
Yeah.
3 mana removal spell, but that sticks around, and bam, there's another problematic planeswalker right there. That card was incredible in the standard format she was in.
Yeah.
I think that very, very good in modern for a very long time, and only got outclassed by the other Liliana. And a lot of times you probably just want to play both.
Yeah.
Legacy it's a 4 of in any Pox deck that I've ever played, as well as an incredible card in a lot of different decks. When you look at the original 5 planeswalkers that they printed, they were all very good in their own way. Maybe not a Johnny, but the rest were fine.
Chandra was okay. She wasn't great.
Yeah, so
Chandra was
it was a Johnny, Chandra,
Johnny,
Jace,
Chandra, Jace, Garrick, and
Garrick,
Liliana.
and Liliana.
And when those cards were printed, I believe Garrick was the one that everyone just immediately gravitated towards.
And Nissa was a step after, or
a couple sets later.
Nissa was Zendikar.
Zendikar.
So you had a Lara block in between that, but those 5 were all very strong, very good. They all saw play, but I don't think any of them were overly dominating.
no, they weren't.
Jace Bellerin saw
Yeah.
a good amount.
Jace took a while for people to realize being able to divinate and then plus it to draw was still very,
Yeah.
very good
Yeah.
and very playable. I think that one was kind of a sleeper, and people just looked at Garrick
So-
and went, so 4 mana, you make a 3/3, you can do that again, and then you can start netting mana after that, or you can just click once to threaten to kill your opponent next turn.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
card's nuts.
Garuga's a hell of
So,
a card.
so a direction I think Wizards could go into, aside from just trying to deal with them as ways of removal, is also deal with print cards that deal with counters and loyalty.
No, yeah. Then they've printed some
which,
cards
which,
removed
which
count,
they
yeah.
have done. There's the Price of Betrayal, I want to say. I
There's
think,
a-
I
there's-
think that was one of the ones. You had Vampire Hexmage, which
Yep.
just flat out removed all counters from a permanent.
Yep.
What else did they have at that time?
Well, I'm not sure. We have the new one where it's just the 1 black remove all counters from a creature or planeswalker. Or
That
maybe just
might have been
permanent.
it. Then.
That's the
I
from
thought
the
it was
new-
5.
There's
5
one that
counters, I
costs
thought.
1. Or maybe I think 5 sounds right. It's got Liliana on the artist from War of the Spark.
Price
anyway,
of Betrayal, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that sounds right. Anyway, so yeah, planeswalkers.
So, yeah,
I think
I think it's just a thing to be careful with, and I don't know that Wizards has been the most careful with them recently.
they need to strike a balance between printing cards that are desirable and cool and fun to open in booster packs, but also don't ruin formats. We have had to ban a lot of planeswalkers recently. Hopefully, that was eye-opening. Anyway, that's a lot about that. And if your thoughts on planeswalkers, we'd love to see them in the comments.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
don't tell you to comment enough, and we
I
really.
would absolutely love to see some comments on why you hate planeswalkers or why you think you want so many more.
Yeah, or if it's fine, if you think things are fine as they are. So we're gonna move on. And our last topic we're going to touch on before moving to the post show, where we're just going to let Dave rant about whatever he wants because I got to do that last week. We're going to talk about what mechanics from the past that we would like to see brought back into, let's say, into standard. Do we want to say into standard, or do we just want to
Sure.
say?
Well, I mean,
And,
if it goes into standard, it's going into modern. It's going into Pioneer as well.
because the other
And
option.
just to ask for those people who are not the truck drivers that I always like to talk about. Tam, is there a good email, or should they just comment on the Facebook groups, that kind of thing?
The best way to do it is either you can talk to us on our Facebook wall at TCGU, find it, like it, whatever, and then just commenting on the video itself. Anytime that we get like a major comment, I share it out to the cast.
Cool.
Yeah.
We really, it is super cool to have people who we don't know asking us or talking stuff. It really makes this feel like a really awesome thing to do. Having that feedback is great. So we really do appreciate those comments.
Yep.
The best place to do it, though, honestly, is just on Discord. All of you guys have access to Discord, and you can have, like, as opposed to, like, little comment by comment, it gets like a real thread, and you get a whole discussion going of people.
You know, I've got the Discord on my phone. The Magic one isn't super active. The Universes one sees a lot of movement. It looks like, but
It's just due to lack of people.
yeah, no. If you guys want to talk to us on the Magic Discord, like not just even like, we would love to do that
For sure.
We're super down for that. So I've got it on my phone, and happy to be pestered. Not even pestered. I'm happy to be engaged with at any point about Magic. I love talking about it. But okay, yeah, mechanics, and we want to let's say standard. Standard's good. What mechanics we want to see back into standard? Anybody have one ready to go?
Landfall. I love Landfall. I think it's fun. I think it moves the game in early stages and mid stages. I think it is. I think it's fun. I think it's fun to because you're playing a lot of lands early, and I think it is fun for early game and mid game. And I think it's just yeah.
You've got to play lands.
Yep.
Playing lands feel good, I think, is good game design, and it makes those lands matter more late game, where you go, oh, I top decked my 8th land, or woo,
yep, so
boom.
it makes later lands matter more, and it makes playing lands early feel even better.
I'm not going to make any like absurd eating things related like statements, but I would be surprised if Landfall was not back in the fall when we went back to Zendikar. It was a very popular mechanic. I don't think we got it in the Return to Zendikar.
Not that I can.
Yeah, I don't think we did.
So I think we have a couple cards seeded that demonstrate we might be doing that. Like we have our good little fetch land and
no, there
Theros.
There were things along the lines of Landfall, because I remember there were a certain number of enchantments that whenever you play a land, you got to choose one or the other.
But yeah,
like there were two abilities that
and
had, and you chose one.
And
or
we
the other.
we had Awaken, and so we had stuff that cared about lands, but we didn't have Landfall. So
Yeah.
they've said they want to go back to
But
Zendikar.
the enchantment though, when a land came into play.
Yeah, no. So I think if I'm remembering correctly, they did do some cards that effectively were Landfall, but they didn't have it as an ability word.
Yeah.
So they just like they did in the last Theros set. There's a few.
Specifically, I liked it on early creatures that you play.
Oh yeah, no,
your
1/1s
stupid
that turn into
step links and
3/3s.
whatever, you
Yeah,
know, like,
step links and what was the plated Geopede? I
played a
think.
GOP. Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a great one. I would love to see that, and I think that is a likely one to come back. Dave, you have some weird to bring up, I'm sure. Yeah.
Like I'd want to see either flanking and or Bushido. Like I
liked Bushido.
just for the sake of complicated board states, have both. Have creatures that have both. Some that have one but not the other. But then that would just be way too frustrating for newer players. That would be too frustrating for everyone that's not me, and I'd probably get
I
frustrated too.
don't think
What?
flanking's probably coming back, but
Yeah, I don't think flanking.
but
is-
Morrow's talked about trying to find a new name for Bushido that is not so specific to Kamigawa or to like
Samurai?
to samurai,
Samurai,
specifically,
specifically.
because I think it does make some there's something I think they've tried to put in a few sets that didn't quite fit, but I would not be surprised to see modified Bushido or renamed Bushido come back.
I don't know. I don't necessarily see a problem with just calling it Bushido anyway. I mean, they don't necessarily need to go back to Kamigawa. They could, but I don't know, Samurai could be other places.
That's true. I mean, I think I wouldn't. Samurai are popular, even if Kamigawa isn't. Samurai people like samurai. So
Samurai are sweet.
Yeah.
They're way cooler than ninjas. And how many times have we gotten ninjutsu?
and I think the concept of what a samurai is easily translatable to other planes.
Yeah, like I mean, we probably not on Theros. I don't know if that necessarily fits. Maybe we could have had Bushido on Theros. That's probably a bit of a stretch where they're going because Bushido is. It's a samurai thing, and I don't picture samurai when I picture Greece.
If you do, I mean,
ancient Greece, that is.
If you do it on Theros, I think you call it phalanx. But I think Bushido is an interesting enough mechanic that if you can give it a neutral phrase, if you can make it not expertise, but if you can like combat prowess. Now, obviously, it can't be prowess, but
I feel like phalanx could potentially be a backdoor into another keyword that we'd all want to see come back, which is banding.
okay, fuck you.
So no,
banding is terrible.
in defense of banding.
No, Tam,
No,
cut the feed.
No,
we're done. Please stand by.
I like
ahead, sorry.
what banding did for making blocking. I guess blocking is
Look at-
interesting on its own.
Look at
but,
Odric.
like,
Odric, the original Odric, Master Tactician, I think, has. I think there are ways to have that effect on some creatures. Like you could have. I think Odric was if you attack with 3 creatures, you get to decide how blocks are declared.
I think banding is super flavorful and would be a good way to give white some new identity options.
I think a modified version, as it is written, it literally doesn't fit on the card. It does 2 distinct things in attacking and blocking. It is a bad mechanic, and it is not going to come back. But I think I agree. Some mechanics where you can kind of forcing blocks, I think,
Yeah.
is interesting. So some kind of like white. So like red has provoke, where you can make people attack, or
I
goad,
would
where you can
I
make
would
attack.
like white to have some simpler abilities that feel banding it.
And even I think Odric
So-
Master Tactician.
Because I think that would work really well with like White Weenie and stuff like that.
So we have an ability called Phalanxing. And when in that creatures with that can phalanx with another creature that doesn't have phalanxing, and then they attack together in a phalanx.
So Dave is just describing banding with the word phalanx. right now,
That's
for those
that's
viewers.
exactly what's going on.
I think there are ways. They also were trying to do some experimenting with armies. Armies were initially 1/1 individual 1/1 tokens that had to attack and block together. Side note: they did these design articles where they tell us what exciting thing they did.
That sounds like it just turned into a mass.
And that's why they gave us a mass, where we just made a big token, and it kind of represented
Makes
that.
sense.
Basically every time a new set comes out, the new pattern seems to be Mark Rosewater writes about what play design tried to do, and they basically added an entire new sub game to Magic. Then they send it on, and the design team and development go, okay, this doesn't work. This is too complicated. Try again. And then they get us an actual Magic the Gathering mechanic. One of these days, and it might be next set, I think something real weird's going to slip through. Ikoria is going to be, I think Ikoria is going to be weird. And if it's not Ikoria, eventually we're going to get some of these weird sub game things that they keep making.
There still are complicated ones, but not super complicated. One that comes to mind is Cascade.
Cascade was a mistake, I'd say, and the reason I'd say it's a mistake is when it goes back to the playing spells for free is not a good idea.
Yeah.
I think it's
one of the worst feelings you possibly could have had when Cascade was still a newish mechanic was your opponent playing a Bloodbraid on 4 into a Blightning.
Yeah.
You take 3, discard 2 cards, attack you for 3, or attack your Planeswalker for 3 and kill it.
And that's why people didn't think Jace the Mind Sculptor was that big a deal, because you could play
Yeah.
Jund and do that.
Yeah, because Bloodbraid Elf was the natural predator to Jace the Mind Sculptor. Same thing with Gideon Jura.
Yep.
Where you can Bloodbraid Elf into a Maelstrom Pulse, kill your Gideon Jura, and then attack you.
Yeah.
First couple of weeks, by the way, the Gideon Jura was bugged, so that if you did Maelstrom Pulse it, you just lock the game.
Magic Online.
I think Regenerate went away a long time ago, right?
Regenerate comes back every now and again.
And they
Does
say-
it come back
well,
every now?
they-
That was my question: is has that really gone away?
They have been trying to do a new version, so they did a couple things where you tap and make a creature indestructible. So we've gotten a
Yeah.
couple cards recently
Couple of those,
in
yeah.
green where it'll be like, discard a card or pay 5. Tap this creature and it becomes indestructible.
which is probably better than and they're
Which is
probably
probably
looking at
better,
it
yeah.
like, so you get a regeneration shield, and once that regeneration shield's gone, you can potentially kill it again.
Yeah.
So that's probably the reason they went it that they did it that way, where okay, I'll pay this, it's tapped, and now it's indestructible.
I
Right.
think temporary hexproof / indestructible is better than regenerate, because regenerate is a very complicated mechanic to explain. I'm okay with the protections back. Protections wordy,
Yeah.
but there's some acronyms. But
Speaking of hexproof, and I would file that strictly under mechanics that I hope never go away. I love hexproof. I think it's cool.
they have to be
don't.
careful. They have to.
I am not a fan of that ability, honestly.
Really?
I much prefer
I think
Shroud.
it's a cool.
Let-
Okay, yeah,
let's.
that's
I'm
fair.
gonna make you guys both stop on this one right now, because that's a next week topic.
Okay.
Hexproof
Hexproof
versus
Shroud?
Shroud is
Cool.
a topic in and of its
Yeah, I
own.
was gonna say we were just about to start into
Yeah, no,
it.
Tam put no. I want to have that talk next week. Tam put it on the board. But I need to pick a mechanic. I've been trying to think of one. I like Exalted. I think Exalted's
That's fair.
fun. I think that's a nice thing. It's fun when White had it. It was kind of cool to see Black getting Exalted too. I like mechanics that let Black kind of do some different flavor things.
I'm trying to remember the people who don't play this game very often. What does Exalted
Exalted
do?
means so if a creature attacks alone, it gets +1/+1 for each instance of Exalted. So if you have 3 creatures with Exalted and you attack with a single creature, your creature will get +3/+3. Cool.
And
so
just to explain a couple others that we mentioned real quick, just going back, Regenerate is what it sounds like. You pay a cost. The creature
well, it
comes back.
isn't really what it sounds like. Unfortunately, that's the problem with it, because it's. If the creature dies, it's too late. It's before a creature
before it
dies,
dies.
you can pay regenerate, and then it gets what we call like a regenerate shield.
Yeah.
that will-
Regeneration shield.
that will block it that if it is killed, it will instead be removed from combat and tapped. The reason that regenerate doesn't work is because regenerate means something is killed and then it comes back. That's not how it works, and that's why it's not a great mechanic.
But it was on a lot of the cards that you would think would do that, like skeletons,
Yes, and
zombies
trolls.
stuff.
yeah, no, it was
So-
they used it for a long time.
Landfall is when a land comes into play, something happens. And what else did we talk about?
Flanking is a creature. If a creature blocks a creature with
If
flanking,
a creature blocks another creature that doesn't have flanking, they get -1/-1, and instances of flanking will stack. So if you have a creature that has flanking, then it will trigger 2 times.
and each creature that blocks it gets that. So if you have
Yep.
a 2/2. with flanking 1, and you would attempt to block it with 2 1/1s, both the 1/1s would die. One of the reasons it's probably not coming back is because if you forget about it, it's a really punishing mistake.
There's a lot of feel bad to it.
And that's the thing too with some of these mechanics are if you don't fully understand it. So if it's a difficult thing, banding is a good example, to understand how it works, or if it's a thing that's easy to forget about, I think that's a good reason not to put it on a card.
And I agree completely. Bushido, I think, is the other one we didn't talk about. And Bushido is you'll normally have a number value assigned to it. And if is it blocked or blocking or blocked by?
I believe it's both.
So if
I'm
your
fairly
creature
certain it's
is
both.
blocked or blocks, it gets +X+X, where X is its Bushido. Dave's going to check that. So it's basically if the creature goes through unblocked, it doesn't get bigger, but if it's involved in the creature combat, it's going to get pumped up. We're going to double check that. So for mechanics, I like Exalted I think is a fun one. I don't remember if I talked about this in the show or
Whenever this blocks or becomes blocked.
Yep,
it
okay,
gets
so-
+X+X,
Now, has
where X is
Exalted
its
really
Bushido
gone away?
value.
No,
I feel like we've seen it
come
fairly
back,
recently.
at least once.
And so
Yeah.
there's a thing called the storm scale. It's what Mark Rosewater uses to designate how likely a mechanic is to return to standard. It is called the storm scale because storm is a 10, and that means it is never coming back to standard. So Exalted, I think, is pretty high, is a low number, so it's probably like a 3 or 4, which means when it fits, it'll come back. It's popular.
I think
People like it.
Landfall's pretty low.
Yeah, no, Landfall's like a 2.
Yeah.
Landfall's like it's coming. It's a 2 or a 3. It's not an evergreen keyword. Evergreen keywords are keywords that are in every set. Flying, trample, vigilance, haste. Those are evergreen keywords. One more mechanic. I don't remember if I said this in the.
Is Indestructible evergreen?
Yes, it is. Yep, you can see we see Indestructible in almost every set. For a while it kind of shifted out. It was in and then it was out, and it kind of seems to be back in
And,
now.
Death Touch.
Yes, that's another one. Menace is a newer one. Prowess was evergreen.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got rid of Prowess.
But it is no longer evergreen just because it was not fitting in great. If I had to pick,
Also, Prowess was weird.
Prowess is weird. Part of the issue with Prowess is people's head they kind of think instant or sorceries. Prowess, if you play a non-creature spell, creatures with Prowess get +1/+1
Yeah.
for each instance of Prowess they have.
And that's weird. It's easy to forget.
Like enchantments and planeswalkers and artifacts trigger it, not just instants and sorceries. And so it was a attempt for a red blue creature combat mechanic. Red blue doesn't have a shared mechanic that works in combat. I think every other color has. I don't know if it's necessarily combat, but every other color combination has a mechanic. Red blue doesn't. They're still kind of searching for one. A mechanic I'd like to see come back, I think I mentioned this either in the pre-show or in the last episode, is phasing. Not in standard, but I think a few more phasing cards in Commander would give White a little bit of an edge. I think phasing is easy enough to grok, and if you're playing Commander, I think you can figure phasing out. I don't think creatures should phase in and out. I would rather see it on instants and sorceries and things that protect your creatures to kind of say White is the best at preserving its board state in Commander. Teferi's Protection gives phasing. It's a $50 card. It sees a ton of Commander play. That card needs to get reprinted, and I think 2 or 3 more White phasing cards would really do the color good in Commander.
I think there's a lot of things you could do with White to make it more interesting that are not foreign concepts to what Magic has done in the past.
That are not all just make 1/1s or gain life.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems fair enough.
And I would like that.
Any other mechanics we want to see come back into standard before we wrap the show up? Move on to the post show? Okay. So if you guys have any mechanics, again, we'd love to hear from you in the Discord, in the comments, anything like that. We really appreciate you guys watching.
No.
Cycling's a great mechanic.
Yeah.
Cycling's a lot of fun.
That one's definitely going to come
Yeah, I
back.
was gonna say
It's-
I feel like.
I mean,
that's
we
gonna
just
come.
had it in Amonkhet not too long ago, so we're probably like a year or 2 out from getting it again.
But no, cycling, they like most
They
sets.
would you say they like to cycling?
God damn it. They like mechanics that kind of change how useful cards are depending on where you are in the game. So kicker is a great example of a card with kicker is useful early game, or you can kick it, pay an extra cost, get something extra.
Golly, I love kicker cards.
Cycling is you can pay a cost. Generally, it's normally about 1 or 2 mana, and then you can discard the card and draw a card. So it's good on lands, it's good on creatures. If you need whatever the card is,
It's good on things that you don't need late game.
yeah, or that you could need at variable times. So it can go on anything. So if you need cycling lands are very popular in Commander.
Yeah.
If you need a land early game, it's a land. If you need a card, if you need something that's not a land late game, pay a couple mana, cycle it, draw something fresh. Cycling, I think, is one that's definitely going to come back.
But yeah, If you have anything that you'd like to see come back, please.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So we're going to wrap things up here and go on to the post show. I want to thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, bell stuff. Patreon, that's the big one. Just $1. You got the pre and post show. We have a lot of fun with that. It's looser than what's happening now, which you have to see to believe. But
Also, you can comment on things on Patreon too. So
yeah, no, we'd love to hear from you there. So if you and also like if you're on the Discord and you want us to do something, we did pre-show. We did 20 questions where Tam would pull up a random card on Gatherer, and we had 20 questions to guess to it, which was a lot of fun. So if you want to see other weird stuff or have suggestions, let us know. But yeah, Patreon, $1, 25 cents a week. It really helps us out. We appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in, regardless of how you are tuning in. We appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. I've said that like 4 times.
yeah,
It's so hard to end these things.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.
goodbye.
Remember who you are. See you in the post show. Boom.